Guy channel. The Car Guy channel. My name is Mike Hennessy. This show is all about cars and all four car guys. Get yourself a cold beer. Get yourself a cold beer, guys, because our show is... We are smoking! I'm Mike Hennessy, and you're watching the Car Guy channel. I have an auto repair shop. I've been in the business for over 30 years. You name it, we got it, we built it, we've done it, we do it. We love this car stuff, and I hope you guys do too. We're gonna have a lot of fun, got a lot of stuff cooking, so just stay tuned. Welcome to the Car Guy channel. We got a fantastic show. I say it all the time, but we really got a fantastic show. We do the show every year when we go over to History Park and take a look at all the vintage cars. Now, a little bit of rules about bringing cars in there because they don't take what we call a modified car. This has to be a 33 Plymouth with a 350 fuel injected, but it's low horsepower, meant to be a little driver with disc brakes. But the cars you're going to be seeing here today are the History Park Antique Show, and they cover all sorts of very cool cars, but it has to be from 1946 on down is kind of their rules about the show. Cars go in there for free. The public pays a little donation to come to get in and see. Kids are in, families are in. It is a fantastic show, and of course they have the Locomobile this year, and they have the Flint. They have cars there by Star, and they have the Durant. Neat story about Durant. You're going to hear all about it when you see all the shows over at Kelley Park. It's really a neat show, and I recommend anybody highly to ever go see this show. They cover all sorts of stuff. They're Lunch by Peggy Sue's. They got Old World, New World. They got dancing going on. It kind of brings you back into the 20s, 30s, and 40s are really what's it all about. And when you get people to put this on, Alan and Lucy Greenberg, and there's others on the team, I just happen to know those two very well, and Pat R., he's, I think, the president of the organization. They do a fantastic job on this event, and I want you to see all the cars involved. So do two things. Sit down, get yourself a cold one, and enjoy the show. It is so exciting to see a Survivor, and anybody who watches this show knows that I love Survivor cars. This car is absolutely spectacular in the original condition and for a 1925 Locomobile. And it's just, the name on it was kind of odd and interesting, but when people get into the old history of the old cars, this has a lot of fantastic history in it. And of course, there's a lot of cars going to go ahead and be here today. That's from Durant, from Star, Locomobile, Flint, and so on. That's what they were featuring. But to feature an original car like this right here is owned originally by Jack Passy and Bill Passy. Jack Passy passed away a few years ago, and just dedicated to the car world, and a fantastic human being, great collection over there in Watsonville. And this just happens to be out of one of the collection of one of his cars. And these are just so fascinating with the lights that operate on the outside of the car. You got exhaust coming out. This was class, and the way the boat tail comes in the back end of the car, these are just, to me, just a piece of history without a shadow of a doubt. One of the featured cars, I feel, here at History Park. I haven't seen them all yet, but as of now, this right here is an excellent example of a Survivor for a 1925 Locomobile. There's a lot of examples of a lot of great cars. You got your original Survivors. Then you get cars that have been restored before. And this right here happens to be a Durant, 1927 Durant. And Durant, the history behind Durant was phenomenal. Started 1921, went to 1932. And I always encourage you to look up a lot of stuff instead of have me sit there and tell you all about them. But that's the term of Durant. Durant wanted to build a car to compete with the Oakland and a few other cars. And of course, the big one was Henry Ford in those years. To get a car that could actually compete with them. This is a little bit more of an upbeat car, a little bit more of a, I guess you'd call, uptown type car, and they were very, very well built. But Durant himself is really the person who really brought in Chevrolet. And Chevrolet is the history of Chevrolet, and of course Ford and Chrysler with all the big three in America. These cars, that's what the history of these is all about. This is what brought everything up and going. But take a look at this car. It has a huge rumble seat in it, the leather interior, the huge steering wheel, like all the cars did, because they did not have power steering, guys and gals. That's the way you drove the car. So, you know, if your grandma was a pretty strong gal because she's driving one of these cars, that's kind of the reason why. And let's check out the grill on this thing. It's synonymous with Durant, and it's the way they are, and they're pretty fantastic. They had 4-cylinders and 6-cylinder cars. This one here happens to be a real high quality end piece. Take a look at it. Check it out. One thing about this crazy car business, we start filming and we get people up, and then the owners kind of find a way to morph out of there. Mike Hennessy, and your name is?
Rick Bodie.
Hi, Rick. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm glad you came down today.
Oh, I'm glad as well. I'm glad to see unusual, you know, you got to admit, the Durant's not your everyday car, and to a lot of people that are not really interested, some people have never heard of a Durant. You've had to know that for years,
Oh,
or,
yes.
or a Star or a Flint, and they picked some cars this year, Locomobile, and some people really never heard of them. But tell me a little bit about this car.
Well, this car right here is a 1929 Durant Model 60. What makes it kind of special is that it's a deluxe roadster. Deluxe you had to pay extra for, and that
How much was the extra?
about $125.
That much?
Yeah.
You could buy a Model T for that.
Well, for that money, you got more chrome, you got the dual-sided, dual-mounted spares, you got a luggage rack in the back, and this has the 6-cylinder motor.
I thought it had the 6. I didn't
Yeah.
want to be popping the hood on it. But the other thing is, this has wire spoke wheels,
Yes.
and a sedan that we shot earlier has wood wheels.
Yes.
What's the difference?
The difference is Durant's default wheel was the wood spoke wheel. Durant loved wood spoke wheels. But if you paid extra for the deluxe, then you received the wire wheels.
Well, the wood wheels look beautiful, but there's no doubt on the look on it. So I did a little piece there a minute ago, and I was glad to find somebody like you. Now, did you do the restoration on this car, or did you buy it the way it is?
Oh no! What I got started with didn't look anything like this.
Well, that's what we want to hear. These people that watch the show,
Yeah.
you know, they see these things, and I always say something on the show: cars only original ones, like the Locomobile parked next to you. I mean, there's some excitement to me when I see that car, and then of course we see something finally done like yours. Now you did all the work yourself.
Well, it was a team effort to do it. But this car was restored back to the way it was originally. This is the original color. This was originally advertised to the Stanford class of 29, and it was called the Cardinal Streak. And it was one of the few times that the Durant company took out a color full-page ad to promote this car. So this was meant to represent the Stanford Cardinal colors, and highly marketed to them.
Well, Durant was a visionary. I mean, he really was a phenomenal human being, and all the things he did for the automotive industry. And there was a nice piece on it I think it was a movie. It was called Man of His Dreams, or Man of the Dreams, about Henry Ford, Ford family, and they did a little segment on Durant. I thought it was pretty good in covering, you know, he was a tough businessman. You had to be in those days to run this type of car company.
He was, but at the same time, he was the only man that I'm aware of that ever founded 3 car companies. You know, there's some people that founded 2. You know, Ransom Olds was one,
Right.
but nobody ever founded 3 car companies and a buggy company.
Sure.
So, you know, he had his buggy company. He bought Buick. Then from Buick, he created General Motors, and then he created the Chevrolet Motor Company, and then he created the Durant Motor Company. In 1927, they stopped making Durants, not cars, but just the Durant make. They made Stars that year. They made Flints that year. But just not the name Durant.
I knew he would have that. Hey, let's check out some other stuff. Thanks again for being on the show. Boy, we cover a lot of stuff. Love that stuff. Love it. Now, this is an excellent example of a gorgeous car. Excellent example of a Durant sedan. If you notice, this right here is 2 doors, kind of like a suicide door type deal. That's the way they built them back then. But maybe if you're good enough and you're closely sharp, you're going to see that the wheels on the sedan, these right here are the high-end wheels. These right here with the wooden wheels with the nice caps on the center part. Now, these are gorgeous. They've obviously been taken care of very well. And if you notice the other Durant, same year, 1929, little sport roadster, that car had the spoke wheels, the steel wheels. So there's a lot to be said about the wooden wheels, a lot to be said about the spoke wheels, but just a little thing to catch your eye on it. As far as being a sedan car, I think this car is an excellent example of a fine restoration. The black lacquer finish on the fenders are spectacular all the way around. The chrome, a lot of things in this car here has been redone, but look like it's done just right as it can be. The inside of the car is gorgeous, and you can tell they drive it and they use it. The door handles on here, you're going to see a little bit of patina as being an original piece. So when they put original parts in these cars, I admire that. And it depends really how they kind of look at things, something about the heavy chrome and whatnot. But a lot of these cars had such a high quality finish when chroming was done back in the 20s and 30s. These right here, these original pieces, they look real nice in the car. It kind of matches, it goes real together really, really well. And of course the pins here are all stainless steel pins that hold the doors together. I love the good stuff like that. As far as the inside of the car, you can tell it's all been redone. The interior is just absolutely outstanding. Steering wheel is just a little bit different than the other Durant, and you can just see some of the differences about the 2 cars, and they're just the same year. Happens to be a sedan, happens to be a convertible. Check it out. but you guys know what you're doing. That's kind of a neat feature, really.
We try and help the other guys that don't know as much about what's going on, kind of help them to learn more about it, and that's what it's all about. It's learning.
What do you say when a guy says, no, I was at so-and-so auto parts, and the idiot didn't know his butt from first base, and, you know, and then he comes over here, and I guess that's kind of what your guys' claim to fame, though, really, isn't it?
Somewhat, yeah. We, you know, they just haven't worked here, so they don't know.
Well, you guys are finally tapping into the speed market. They're tapping into the custom market, right?
Yeah.
Like all the stuff you guys, you got gauges, you got stuff, you got, I mean, you're tapped. I know it's a little bit of everything, electric water pumps. So since you're kind of in the hot rod theme, so I know you're handling some flathead stuff.
Yeah, we got a few little things. We got some heads, we got an intake.
How did you talk them into flathead stuff?
Well, you know, it's been tough. It's been about 8 years coming, so.
So I had a feeling that you had a little something to do with the flathead stuff.
Just a bit. Trying to get some of that stuff, just to let people know what we can get. I mean, if we have a variety, somebody might, you know, say, hey, you guys stock flathead stuff. How about something for a nail head, or, you know, whatever, you know.
How many customers really like my shop are out there? My shop we build the street rod stuff, the custom stuff we build. How many guys out there are like me?
You know, not too many. They're getting less and less every day.
You're trying to say we're kind of dinosauric, huh?
Yeah, kind of. But I'm trying to bring it back. We're trying to bring it back.
Cool. Hey, we're going to do that. Hey, let's get the rest of the store, guys. Rock and roll. Cool. Hey, thanks, bud.
All right.
Durant was an automaker that went ahead and decided to do 3 manufacturers in the same time span from the 20s all the way into the early 30s. In 1932, they went bankrupt, but in 1931 on down, they had all sorts of things going on. The Star, the Flint, and this happens to be a Flint along with the Durant. And some of the ideas that they came up with are absolutely spectacular with the sliding windows. Now, this is one of the only versions of cars that I know that actually have sliding type windows. They really never got to the point of having roll-up windows in the cars, you know, that are really functional. It's just a whole nother deal for manufacturers to deal with when you deal with the term of glass. There's all sorts of areas to be worked with the paint department, but they did offer colors. They're one of the few automakers that did offer colors in cars. Remember, with the Ford car, you know, they had color options. If you like black, that's what you get, because black is the color option you're going to go ahead and get. But they had 2 tones. They had a lot of the burgundies with the black fenders. This is a dove gray, the pinstriping, and the sliding windows, and of course they have a vinyl that went with them on the top. This is a really well done automobile. And being for a Flint, they're just so unusual. And I love the unusual. And fine restoration, a car like this here, I think this car here is absolutely spectacular with the rims, the wheels, everything about it. It's pretty cool. Check it out. And here, final 3 is the Star. Now, this right here is one of the same cars that Durant was building actually in the 20s. This is a 1925, and it's a sedan also. Now, it's just a little bit on the different side, but it still comes with the full steel wheels like Chevrolet, of course, and the Flint had, not like the wood wheels or the wire wheels that Durant put on the Durant automobiles. Now, of course, there was a one time period that they did not make the Durant. I'm not sure exactly in the year. I think it was 1926 to 27, I'm guessing. And those are the years they did not make the actual Durant brand, but they still made cars, and was the Star and the Flint. Not to be confusing, but I hope I kind of cleared that up a little easy for you. And the way the bumpers and stuff are done, it's all nickel plated, and the grill is just synonymous with this. Is a lot of original parts. Now, if you notice with the people restoration on these type of cars, with the Flint, the Durant, and the Star, they use some of the really good original parts they put back on the car. It has a little bit of patina, and they'll still paint them, still do the interior, and do the restoration as it goes, but they still try to put back on some of the original stuff. You don't see that every day. Now, doing show enough this year here, I'm kind of impressed that they do it like that. And I'm seeing a car like this here, that just means a lot. And this shows authenticity, really what it's all about, and the history of what the Star is all about. Check this car out. I think you'd be pretty darn impressed. Love your car. Mike Hennessy here from the Car Guy channel.
Hi, James Miller.
James, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
I love the car. You pointed something out on the window on this car. You have a sticker. You're the only one here with a sticker on the car. Will you tell people what that is?
That's a sticker from World War II, and it was a gas rationing sticker for people during the World War II.
Now, was it every state had that?
That, I think so. I think it was all United States. You had to have that sticker in order to get gas.
So somebody asked you to get a razor blade to scrape it off. What happened?
I said no.
Now, how long have you had the car?
About 5 years.
Now, so 5 years, and you didn't restore it. You bought it the way it is, and you kind of wanted to get into a club that was pretty social for you and your wife, and
This was the club, and this is the Durant Motor Club, and the guys has been really friendly, all the members. If I have problems, they help me fix it.
Now,
Or
you mean car problems?
Yes.
We got to make that clear on the show. You know, you never know what type of, never talk about an email I might get. Hey, you mentioned earlier who drives this car most of the time.
My wife drives it.
Susan, you got to hear this story.
And most people come up and say, how come she's driving it? And I says, back then, women did do driving too. And my wife drives it, and she drives it better than me.
That's pretty cool to see that. Hey, I appreciate you bringing this out here today. It's very nice. This right here happens to be a 1941 Cadillac. They call it Cadillac LaSalle, but this happens to be a Cadillac. These are flathead V8 engine cars. And this right here is called a Series 61. And there's really a lot of things going on about Cadillac at a Series 60 and so on. This happens to be a beautiful two-door coupe, and it's in a very, very rare, interesting color on the metallic green. Check this out. This car is absolutely exciting. It's a 1934 Packard Sedan, and the paint on this thing is just beautiful with the deep burgundy, the gold pinstriping. You got some black inside here. You got the black fenders, the chrome, the lights. Everything about this car completely shows class, and I mean love the dual side mounts. That makes this car. And of course, this is a big straight 8 engine, and you can really kind of tell they got all the flutes on the side of this. This is fantastic. I'm telling you, the inside, Stell's going to get a quick shot of that. Take a look at it. 1928 Buick, and this right here is just called the Master. Big four-door sedan. You got the Opera, the steel. This is the real deal. These are really pieces that go onto the car. Wood wheels, black paint, two-tone, pinstriped. I'm telling you, it's absolutely spectacular car. And look how big this car is. I'm a little over 6 feet tall. This is how big they are back then. Kind of cool. This 1932 Packard is, again, one of the Packards, and you got the hood ornament, you know, with the angel chasing the donut, and it's just a lot of very cool stuff. That is just synonymous with Packard. It's just beautiful. The color, this dark emerald green side here with the kind of the deep tan pinstriping on it, and again, dual side mounts. All the stuff that goes on. Now, this car's a little bit different. When you get toward the back of the car, you can kind of see they got a little divider window. This was the Packard, which is a couple notches up a little more downtown than some of the others. So when you do see this inside, it's going to be pretty impressive. You could actually play cards in the back of this car. The synonymous 1941 Continental. Now, Lincoln Continentals are kind of a one breed of their own particular car. The Continental, I'll show you on the side of the car, it just has a piece of chrome stripping on the bottom. A car called the Zephyr would actually have a piece of the body molded that kind of went around. If we find one here at the show, I'll point that out. And this car here is owned by a really great guy, Heinz Schuh, and he's had this car for many years. Has been to this event, and they have a V12 flathead, kind of a very, very cool car. This car right here is Lincoln Black, and it's spectacular. And here happens to be another Cadillac, 1941 Coupe, obviously a Series 61. And I'm telling you, this car here, the color just stands out between the whole line of all the cars. And the hood ornament on the Cadillac is just synonymous. They're just gorgeous. The chrome, the size of the whole car itself, the grille plates on the car, big wide white wall tires and small caps, and just beautiful. The leather interior, stick your head in there and it still smells like leather itself. Now this right here is one of the first versions of the automatic transmission. So Cadillac had to jump on it, and they sold really well. Now, we've had this car in the show more than once before when it comes here, but it's just something that always strikes my eye. I love a Packard automobile. I think they were absolute pure class back in these years, and this happens to be a 1927. For 1927 automobile, look how large they were, and you would kind of think who would own one like that, what type of movie star, what type of banker, or whoever would be, a doctor. And they actually have the little door on the side you're going to put your golf clubs in, has the rumble seat. I'm telling you, fantastic car. Check it out. In 1933, they came out with a car called a Franklin. There's very few Franklins ever here, but people who know the Bay Area, the San Jose area, there's a family of a dealership called Normanton's Chrysler Plymouth. Paul Normanton's a great guy and a very good friend. Their family actually was a Franklin dealer back in those early days. And the Franklin motors they were just absolutely way ahead of their time in their time, and what an automobile they were. They were very well made, very high-end automobile, and the girth of them, the size, the whole bit about it. They're just a fascinating car. And as far as interesting pieces, I kind of think this is a very interesting car for the show. Love to see it there. 1939 Packard. You can kind of tell the way these flutes go on the radiator. Now these right here, these are the thermostat. These actually right now they're closed because the car is cold. It's not running. When the car warms up, starts up, these flutes here open up and allow the air to get into them. And big truck companies, Peterbilt and Mack Trucks, use that technology for many, many years to keep those cars, those big trucks, warm and cool. And of course, they went ahead and did change to the Flying Swan, and I think that was really kind of a neat piece that Packard did, but that's the change they made. And they have a Packard here at the show, and I think it looks fantastic. This is an excellent example of a 1940 Packard. Now, this Reader is a four-door car, and this can take everybody in the block in it. Huge back seat, huge front seat, and what an automobile. And I think the color on the car is absolutely outstanding. It's kind of a royal blue. I always say, hopefully we can ever get a camera someday when we go to these events that could really detect and give you guys and gals the actual depth of the color of these cars. This is beautiful. I think it's outstanding. And somebody asked, what's my favorite car? I don't know. It'd be a very difficult car to pick a favorite car here. They're all great. Check this here out. Very cool. Now, as far as convertibles go and talk about favorite cars and things like this, but this right here being a 1940 Packard convertible, to me, this is just the utmost class. You would think of Greta Gable. You think of all sorts of actresses and actors that would have fascinating cars to really show their wealth and show who you are. And these are a status symbol. These are really what you're all about back then. You pull up with one of these, it's really not always about driving. This car's about arriving. Not to forget some of the old Lincolns. This is a 1925 Lincoln, and I'm telling you, this car here is spectacular because a lot of this car is original. All the stuff right here, a lot of stuff is nickel-plated in its day, and it's just original condition. Nothing's redone, and there's been some touch-up work again. But these guys nowadays, they're redoing what they can, and they're keeping on the cars what they can. And oh, the hood ornament of the Greyhound is fascinating. All this stuff, the way this stuff, and that could be re-chromed and polished up. That's not what this is about. This is how these cars really looked, and that gives you a really good idea of how they were. And this is a big car. This holds a lot of people. This right here is a status symbol of this car. Back then, Lincolns were expensive, and they're expensive for the average guy, so not really for everybody. This right here is a fascinating car and an excellent example of a Lincoln Continental. The 11th annual Hot Saturday Nights over at Reed Hillview Airport. The show was fantastic, and it was a mega home run. And it would just take hours to be thanking everybody. And by the time you'd watch it, all the credits and all the names, you'd look like E.T. by the end of my show. And I'm going to tell you, but there's so many people that just do a lot. And I got to thank you, car people. And I always said this from the day one, that car people are the most giving, and they just do it all. They cover everything. All you groups, individuals, and there's clubs, everybody involved. It's a day that people get along and they support a charity. We select a different charity every year. We went ahead and decided to work with the Breast Cancer Society this year and help them out for what we could with the VMC. VMC is a fantastic organization, and the money helps people that really just don't have the money to be able to get some of the services they need for this type of cancer. And God bless these folks and getting all the help in the hospital doing what they do. And all you car people deserve a mega thank you. And I don't know how to say it enough, and I want you to know that Susan and I really mean it. It just really goes there. And every nickel that came into Hot Saturday Nights went directly to the VMC. And it's just kind of neat that you people were definitely part of it. All the vendors were there. Any of the money that came into the event, that's what went up there. And our good friend Dave Cortese, I mean, I'm telling you, we would have no tents, no tables, no chairs, no stage, or nothing if it wasn't for Dave Cortese. Dave set it all up for us, and we were able to be able to put a great show on, and it's all for the family. When we did the awards ceremony, we had Thuy Vi McDowell. And this girl is absolutely going to go places. She speaks 4 or 5 languages. She sings the National Anthem. And I'm telling you, Susan and I stand up to had goosebumps on it. It was just, beyond being professional as how she is, but she just delivers the song just like the way anybody in America would be proud to listen to it, the way she puts it all together. And then after that, we have the air show going on, the fantastic cars going on. We got the tanks out there, and of course the band Lion Eyes. And I said this early in the beginning of the show, these people do this for charity. They do not ask for anything. Dave Gooden and the whole band did this on their own. And I'm telling you, got to take your hats off to them. We got an award for being involved with the event, but sometimes it's a nice pat on the back. But geez, the money it took, the time and everything to put this on, they do a fantastic job. But I want you to go ahead and see all the shows. Estelle's running around filming everything of this whole event. We're giving out our lunch tickets to all the VIP people and stuff. Tony Karras was there. Jerry was there. We had on stage going on, and then we had a flyover by the Beach Boys. And I'm telling you, seeing that going on, I mean, really puts a lot together. I don't think there's an event in California that's automotive based, that's family designed as we are. We got the tanks, we got the air show, we got the music, we have a beautiful 55-piece orchestra band that's utterly fantastic. They do show tunes. They put it in the hangar of Tradewinds. And my new good friend, I'm going to call new good friend, Walt, myself, have putting a lot of things together. Walt Geiker from Tradewinds has been absolutely spectacular. And we work together to put this thing here on. And again, Walt's doing it strictly for the charity, what is going to be done. Let people know where Reed View is and what we can do there. It's a great venue for a lot of stuff that we put on. So I want to thank a lot of people, but I know there's so much going on. Look at all the cars. Look at all the stuff. Get a cold one.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there.
Are you tired as I am? We cover this thing here, soup to nuts. I'm telling you, it's so much going on. And this is the time of year, just coming into fall. All the summer events happening with History Park, Hot San Jose Nights, and all the things going on with all the cars, all the people, and all the activities, all the stuff, and the families involved. And that's really what Hot San Jose Nights is about. It's about family, people getting together. We all have a different taste and a different flavor in cars. And when they kind of all put together, it's a pretty good bowl of soup. I think it's pretty neat. Hey, I'll catch you guys and all gals in all the next episode, and God bless you and take care.